There was a huge win in Colombia yesterday. Now, I want you guys to start paying attention more to what's happening with the Global South. Josana, my comrade at RBN, she talks about this a lot. We really need to pay attention to what people are doing there and the leaders that they are electing. They're electing true progressives, real leftists, and I mean real. Like when I say we don't have a left in this country, that doesn't mean that we don't have individuals here who are leftists. I mean, we don't have a left, and we don't. If you look at what's happening in these countries in South America, they have a true left movement, and they are electing people that we could never get elected here because we just don't have a true left. So yesterday in Colombia, a historic win. Gustavo Petro and Francia Marquez won yesterday. I want to play their acceptance speech, and then I want to go into some details about the issues that they ran on and how people are feeling about this today. So let's get into it.
Soy la primera mujer afrodescendiente de Colombia. Soy su vicepresidenta. Y quiero presentarles a su presidente, Gustavo Petro.
So this woman here, that is Francia Marquez, and this is Gustavo. And so they won yesterday in Colombia. Now, why is this so huge for Colombia? Let's go ahead and get into that. I'm going to share this article here. I love it. I love it. I love it. Left-wing candidate and former guerrilla Gustavo Petro wins Colombian presidential race. Let's go there. Let's do the damn thing. And that's him there. Gustavo Petro will become Colombia's first leftist leader after winning the country's presidential race on Sunday. The former guerrilla won by a slim margin with over 50% of the votes against 77-year-old entrepreneur Rodolfo Hernandez. In this historic win, his running mate, Francia Marquez, will now become the first Afro-Colombian to hold executive powers. During his victory speech on Sunday night, Petro said he is open to dialogue with Hernandez. He has also called for a great national agreement to end violence in the country. What is coming here is real change. Real change. That is what we are committing our lives to. We will not betray the electorate that has demanded that Colombia change from today. Let's celebrate the first popular victory. May so many sufferings be cushioned in the joy that today floods the heart of the homeland. That's coming from Petro. Outgoing Colombian President Ivan Duque said he called Petro to congratulate him on his victory and that they had agreed to meet in the coming days to initiate a harmonious, institutional, and transparent transition. And there he is again there. Shortly after Petro claimed victory, rival Hernandez gave a speech saying he accepted the result. I accept the result as it should be if we want our institutions to be strong. Well, that didn't happen here in the United States now, did it? That did not happen here. I sincerely hope that this decision that has been taken is beneficial for all and that Colombia is heading towards the change that prevailed in the vote in the first round. Hernandez also said he hopes Petro knows how to lead the country and that Petro is faithful to his speech against corruption and that he does not disappoint those who trust him. Listen to this. Both candidates had run on promises of change, seeking to take advantage of how many Colombians are fed up with Duque, a leader whose tenure has been defined by his administration's handling of police conduct, inequality, and clashes between organized criminal groups. I want to highlight this right here in reference to Duque. Notice why the people voted the way that they did. Duque, a leader whose tenure has been defined by his administration's handling of police conduct, inequality, and clashes between organized criminal groups. And after everything that's happened here in this country, when we think about police conduct, when we think about inequality, 2024 will be the great time to have someone run that is not running through the duopoly, someone that speaks to all the people, someone that is coming from a background where they know what it's like to deal with inequality. They're coming from the working class, or they're coming from poverty. Wouldn't it be great if we had someone to do that here? Why can't that happen in the United States? Because the difference is here, we have people that are so bought into the game where even some of the independents like Bernie Sanders is going to tell you that he will not primary challenge Joe Biden. Look at what is happening in countries like Colombia, where they had to challenge the power because the power in office was so corrupt. And it was not helping the people. There was inequality. There was police conduct issues, the same issues that we have right here in the United States. But the problem that we have is that none of the politicians that are in DC right now have the guts to challenge Joe Biden on the primary level. Not one Democrat, not one independent who is already still there. When you have someone like Bernie Sanders, who, yes, he is an independent, but at the same time, he continues to always caucus with the Democratic Party. Bernie Sanders is not going to take that role either. Even he, who said he had this revolution in this movement, even he is not willing to challenge the powers that be because he is just as much controlled opposition, even though he is not a part of that party. He knows how far the Democratic Party wants him to go. That is the difference between what's happening in the global South politically and what is happening in the United States politically. There, the people have nothing to lose. They're not afraid to stand up. They're not afraid to go out, hundreds of thousands of them in the streets. Talk to Josana. She will tell you how they fought back in Brazil. They're not afraid to challenge the power because so much has been stripped from the people that at the end of the day, they have nothing to lose. So they fight as a unit. That doesn't happen here because everyone is out for their self. Most of the politicians have been bought and paid for, even the ones that claim to be progressive, so to speak. They cower to Democrat establishment. They do not fight back against them. They talk a good talk, but when it's time to stand up and fight for the people, they cower just like the corporate Democrats that they complained so much about when they were running. We don't have a true leader in this country. We don't have anyone that has the guts, that has the balls, that has the audacity to push back against the establishment. And this is why the left does not win in this country. This is why we don't have a left. Everyone is thinking about their self. Colombia's victory. This should be on everyone's radar, everyone's, and not in reference to fear, right? Because some people are talking about this election today and they're telling you you should be afraid. We need to be afraid because leftists and progressives are winning in the global South and it could spread to the United States. We need to be afraid. No, we need to be afraid of what we have here right now. We need to be afraid of the capitalist system that we have in this country, in the wealthiest country in the world, where we can't even afford to buy gas. That's what we need to be afraid of. Not these individuals who are really taking the lead and making real change in the global South. Congratulations to Gustavo and to Francia. Congratulations. It's a damn shame we don't have that here. Nobody. They're all liars. So it goes back into the article here and it says Petro 62 had already seen 2 failed presidential bids in 2010 and 2018. Sunday's runoff vote suggests that he has finally overcome the hesitation of voters who once saw him a radical left-wing outsider. No small feat for a politician looking to win over one of South America's most conservative countries. What does that tell you? One of the most conservative countries in South America, and they voted for the leftist leaders. You know why? Because the people connected over the issues. Regardless if they were conservative or not, the people were tired of being mistreated. The people were tired of being neglected. Now, some people had things to say about this. Ajamu, Baraka, the masses are making history in Colombia. They are calling it Frapatico historical. U.S. imperialism remains on the run in our continent, but the fight continues until we eject U.S. colonialism from all of our territories. From all of our territories. Shout out to Ajamu. Now, what did he run on? Because I think this is important for people to see. So let me go over here. There were a couple of things I did want to highlight. Now, this is before he won. Colombia candidate Petro says human campaign will carry him to victory. So he focused on the people. So here we go here. Petro, a former M19 guerrilla and current senator, and Hernandez, an ex-mayor who unexpectedly passed to a second round on anti-corruption promises, are tied in polling ahead of the vote to replace President Yvonne J, who cannot run again. Petro has promised a battery of social programs for the deeply polarized country, where violence from a 6-decade conflict is ongoing and nearly 50% of people live in some form of poverty. Nearly 50%, you guys. Nearly 50% of people live in some form of poverty. Wow. Once I'm inaugurated, I will immediately invite my opponents to talk and establish a channel to firm up the democratic reforms that Colombia needs to not break down. If I am elected, the new atmosphere will be one with rhetoric that builds peace, not hate. Petro said his campaign has shifted its strategy away from large rallies, where bodyguards protected him on stage with anti-ballistic shields, toward more personal visits at people's homes, where he sometimes spends the night. That would never happen here. So he realized you had to get back to kitchen table politics, where the politician is actually speaking to people in their home, not just at these large rallies, where the majority of people don't get to interact with them on a personal level. So that's something that he did differently. We had to practically have armor plating, which caused a margin of separation from the people. It's not my taste. So we changed the strategy for one that is safer, but more human. Both Petro and Hernandez have said their lives have been threatened during the campaign, with Hernandez saying on Thursday he will appear only virtually at events. Now, again, this is before he won. So they had their lives threatened, which does not surprise me. Petro said his first priority in office will be to fight hunger, especially among young children. So that's a big one. Then he wants to bolster agriculture, tourism, and production of legal cannabis so that Colombia can begin to replace income from top exports of oil and coal. In the medium term, what we propose is nutritional sovereignty, energy sovereignty, with clean energy, a process to disconnect from what I call the fossil economy, coal and oil, and connect with agriculture and industrialization. So you see, even he's looking at clean energy. So this is interesting. Again, huge win for Colombia.